Dice shooting, dice control, and dice influence is a greatly debated topic in the craps community. Hey, my name is Joe and this is my dice shooting craps master journey. I'm going to cover the 10 steps that I found that I need to go through in order to become a better dice setter, better dice influencer, if you will. I'm going to explain how to make different tools that you can implement as part of your training. In fact, in a lot of my videos, I'm actually going to have a tool making section where I'm actually going to make my own tools that we can use to practice our dice throwing, our dice influencing. And then also periodically, I'm going to go through and I'm going to record my practice sessions so that way you guys can see exactly what I'm doing and the methods that I'm using in order to improve my dice shooting. In fact, yesterday I threw 216 rolls so I can get a benchmark of where I'm starting at, and I changed my grip from what I normally use, so this is really truly a beginning benchmark for me. And I'll be covering that in my next video, and I'll go more in detail what I did and the results of it and all that type of stuff and things that I'm looking for to analyze. But we'll cover that in the next video, so make sure you stay tuned to my channel and you'll see when I post that. I also want to encourage everybody to join along with me, and I want to see if we can make this journey for everyone. And leave in the comments in every video that I put out ideas, thoughts, how you're doing, whether it's working for you, whether it's not working for you, suggestions that I can do to improve my journey. Again, I truly want to make this part of everybody's journey. This is not just all about me, even though I'm the one putting the video out. I want to see what you guys are doing. I want to see the success that you guys are having. I want to see the pitfalls and the drawbacks that you guys are coming up with. So that way we can work together as a team to improve this entire process, to improve our results, to become better dice shooters, better, and I know this is a bad term, dice controllers, or better dice influencers. I know I put out a video in the past about shooter etiquette, which is extremely important. Things that and I'll leave that link in the top right corner there so that way you guys can see that video. But there are certain rules that you want to follow as a shooter, but there's some real specific things that really applies to dice shooters and the actual process of shooting. When it's your turn to shoot, the order that the shooters go on a table is it usually starts on the left side and they go left to right. So the person at the first base there would actually be the one who is the first shooter, and then they would go around the table so the next person in line would have the chance to shoot. When you have the opportunity to shoot, you're going to be pushed a grouping of dice. And most casinos have 5 dice, some casinos will push you 6 dice, and your goal is to pick out 2 of those dice. When you pick them, you should always keep the dice in view at all times. So, grab the 2, put them aside for brief seconds so that way the dealer or the stickman has enough time to pull the rest of the dice out. I've seen too many times where people grab the dice and they throw them right away. Well, the other 3 to 4 dice are sitting on a table. Hopefully they won't get mixed up, and it kind of puts the stickman in a predicament where they got to pull it out really super fast. The crew is there to watch you. The crew is there to watch the dice. The crew is there to ensure a fair game, if you will. So pull the 2 dice out, keep them in view, and give the stickman a second or 2 to get the dice out before you do throw the dice. When you're shooting the dice, only use one hand at a time. You don't want to throw the dice from hand to hand. So in other words, tossing them back and forth and back and forth. You also want to keep an open hand. Make sure that they're not in a closed hand, so that way the camera in the sky can always see them. That way the crew at the table can always see the dice. Also, make sure that you touch the dice only with one hand at a time. So if you want to switch hands, put the dice down and then take a hand out and pick it up with the other hand so that way you can do whatever setting you're going to do. Another thing is, when you're throwing the dice, you need to throw the entire length of the table. So you're going to be at whatever position you are on the table, and you're going to throw it to the opposite end of the table. And the one rule that is consistent in most casinos is both dice have to touch the other wall, the back end of the wall. And the reason they do that is because they have the bumps, the alligator bumps on the end of the table, and that's supposed to help with randomness of the throw to help keep the game more fair for the casino, more fair for the players and net. So make sure that you do throw it the entire length. Make sure you do hit back wall with both of them. Some casinos will let you go with only one hitting the back wall, or neither of them hitting the back wall occasionally, but if you do it consistently, they're going to call you out. I know that I was on a cruise about a year ago, and if it did not touch the back wall, both of the dice, they called it a no roll no matter what. Even if it was a 7, it was still a no roll. They both had to touch the back wall. So just, try to be as fair as you can and make sure that it gets all the way across the table and touches the back wall. The other rule for shooter wise is that you have to have a pass line bet or a don't pass bet out on a table in order to be able to shoot. That just seems like, and I don't understand the reason why, but it just seems like that is a rule for the casino. So kind of consider it as a way of you have to pay in order to play type situation. What a lot of people do is they'll put their pass line bet out, and that's what they do. They'll put odds on it, whatever. Some people, when they do a don't pass, put a bigger don't pass in the beginning, and then once they meet their win goal for that certain roll, they'll decrease their don't pass bets. So let's say you start with a $50 don't pass, and you'll cut it down to a table minimum of $10, $15, $25, whatever the table minimum is. Keep in mind though, if you have a don't pass bet up, even though it's not a contract bet, it means you could take it down. If you take it down completely, the casino will pass the dice on to the next shooter. So that's just something to consider when you do that type of reduction of your don't pass bets. Now we're going to go through some things that I personally have seen at the craps table on occasion, but they're considered unfavorable things to actually occur at the craps table. And number one with that would be jumping positions. So let's say you're at the end of the table, you get your chance to throw the dice, you do whatever, it doesn't matter. You roll 10 rolls before you 7 out. Dice is passed on to the next player, and then you pick up your dice or your chips and you go over 2 or 3 spots, so that way you can get next in line again for the shot. I've seen it happen, not too often, but I have seen it happen at times. And what'll happen is you'll see these guys jumping to positions, trying to stay ahead of the dice so they can have more chances to roll. The casino doesn't like that. So pick a spot on the table, guys, stick with that spot, and if it's not coming around as fast as you want, don't bet as much on the other players. Nothing says you have to put out a maximum bet every time somebody shoots and shoots. In fact, it might be smart for you to put out a smaller bet or use a different strategy on other shooters, random shooters, other people who think they can throw the dice. Another unfavorable thing that I've seen is training your rolls or practice rolling before you actually do your throw. So what'll happen is the stick man will pass the dice over, you pick your 2, and they immediately just start throwing it against the wall up against them. It's not the far wall, it's the closest wall, so it's not an actual shot. They're just throwing it, and it's called training of the dice. So they're waiting to see what the dice are going to do, looking for certain particular numbers to come up on top. Guys, don't do that. If you're going to set the dice, know what dice that you're going to use, go in there, set it as fast as you can, and throw the dice. And again, we're going to go through a 10-step process going forward in future videos that I've come up with that you should go through in order to become a better dice shooter or dice influencer. Another thing that I've researched and I found that casinos don't like is if you do a stacking of the dice. Now, John at Pro Craps, he uses a style called a chopper throw, which is where he picks up the dice sideways, turns them upright, and then throws them right away. I don't know if I would consider that stacking, but if you take the dice and go through and stack them and then throw them, casinos don't like that because there's a possibility of actually chipping the dice and making the dice defective. Again, the dice right now are balanced. They have sharp corners so they ensure random throws, but they're balanced so that way not one side is heavier than the other, so the dice numbers themselves are not influenced. So try not to stack the dice to help prevent that possibility of the dice chipping if they would smack together at the other side of the table and crack off a piece of the die. The next unfavorable thing is don't blow on the dice or don't kiss the dice. Dude, hey guys, this is COVID times. Not only is it disgusting, but do you want to be passing these germs? Do you want to be touching the dice after somebody else is blowing on it, kissing it, doing whatever? There was a period during COVID when they were actually wiping the dice down every time it changed hands to the next player. I don't see that happening anymore. But why take the chance? Why pass those germs? Why do something that's disgusting like that, guys. Don't blow on them, don't kiss them. And the last thing we're going to talk about is, unfavorable wise, is don't do anything that's going to disrupt the flow of the game. So if you're doing something that's out of the ordinary, something that's going to disrupt that flow of the game, don't do it. It's unfavorable. Why? Just stick with the norm. Stick with a prescribed way of doing things and keep the game flowing so that you have a better opportunity to make better bets more often and have a better chance at winning. And just so you know, you can pass the dice if you want. You don't have to shoot the dice at the craps table. There are certain situations where I personally might pass the dice, and one is if I just get to the table and I'm not really feeling it, I want to be in the right frame of mind before I shoot, I might pass the dice. Or let's say a guy right in front of me just got done shooting. He rolled a 30, 40, 50 roller. I want to get that dice back to him as fast as possible, so I'll say it. I pass. Let's see if we can get more people passing. Get that dice back to the person that's hot. They're on a hot streak. Let's keep them going. Oftentimes, especially if there's not a lot of people on the table, if somebody has a good roll, I'll look at them. Hey, dude, you want to roll again? And they'll say, yeah, it would be nice. So then I'll pass it. Other times they'll say, no, take your turn, go ahead. Talk to the people around you. This is a social game. Make it a social game. Make it a game where you can build trust amongst the other players. So that way everybody's working as a team to hopefully get good rolls and hopefully have favorable results. Also remember that if the dice go off the table, either one or both of them, when you're throwing, sometimes they'll hit the end of the table and they'll bounce out. You can call same dice if you want. And you have to do it immediately. So what will happen is whoever will go retrieve the dice, give it to one of the dealers. Dealer will pass it over to the box man, and they're going to inspect the dice first, and then they'll give it back to you. Or the other option is actually not saying same dice. And what they'll do is they'll take the remaining dice that are in the dish from the original 5 or 6 dice they showed you, and you can pick another 2. Your choice. Some people have superstition where they stay with same dice. They think that's going to be the magic ticket. Other people really don't care. I am in a boat of not really caring. Sometimes I'll say same dice. Sometimes I will not. It's up to you guys what you want to do. During practice times now, okay, guys? When you're at home practicing, when you're wherever you are practicing, try to use 2 different color dice. And you'll see that in my future videos where most people use like red for right. I actually use red for left. For some reason, that's where my brain works. So my red dice is on my left side, and I'll have a blue dice on the right side, or a black dice, or whatever color I'm using. So I'll use 2 different colors. Usually my red is on my left side. And then your goal for dice influencing or dice shooting or dice controlling or whatever term you want to use is to try to minimize the number of 7s that are rolled. Now, I know that the 7 is the most commonly rolled number. I know that it's hard to avoid the 7. But guys, if you can influence the dice just 2 times out of 100 throws, that's going to take that negative 1.41% disadvantage that you have. That's going to be enough to put you into the advantageous position, enough into the situation where you actually could start winning money at the table. So the goal is to try to reduce the number of 7s. Another goal for dice shooting or dice influence is to try to roll more box number hits or more numbers that you're actually betting on. So if you're betting on horns, is there a way that you can roll more horn numbers? Most people will place their bets so that, can you hit the box numbers? If you're playing hardways, is there a way to throw hardways? Try to roll the dice. Try to practice rolling the dice. Try to get yourself in an advantageous situation where you are betting on actually what you're rolling, and you have the possibility of reducing the 7. Again, like I said, you only need 2 rolls of influence out of 100 in order to actually put yourself in a position where you can become the advantage player and not in the disadvantage as most players are at the casino. Dice setting has been practiced forever, and it's not illegal. All casinos have their own set of rules that surround dice setting and how you throw the dice. For example, you want to throw it so it's eye level of the dealer or below. If you have a short dealer, it sucks because you got to lower your toss if they call it out on that. But you have the height decision. You have to touch the back wall. You have to make it all the way across the table. You can only use one hand. You can set the dice at most casinos. Just don't take forever to do it. So know what your sets are going to be. Practice, do it, rolling the dice around so you're not taking forever. And if you do it in a timely manner, most casinos will not say anything. So it's not illegal, guys. You can actually do that because as far as the casino is concerned, all dice rolls are random anyhow because they have things in place to make them random. The sharpness corners of the dice, the alligator bumps at the back of the table, all the chips that are in a way that they have kind of up against the wall, so dice will hit into that. There's obviously different things they can do to make it random. So make sure if you do set the dice, do it as fast as you can. Now, the only person that might give you a little bit of heat at the dice table might be the box man or even the stick man sometimes. I've seen a lot of times the stick man will play little mind games with the shooter net, but the box man might throw a little bit of heat also at you also. And most of the times that happens, if you're at the table and you're cocky or you're arrogant and the staff don't like you, they're going to throw a little bit of heat towards you. Another time might be as if you're taking way too long to roll. Remember, the casino wants to get a certain number of rolls. I had heard like 60 rolls an hour, but they want to get a certain number of rolls so that we have the exchange of money, the exchange of chips going around, and they keep the table so it can be having a chance to be profitable for the casino. Remember, cheating is illegal, so do not do anything that's cheating. Dice setting and controlled throwing and dice influence is not cheating. Now, cheating would be considered sliding the dice across the table so that they don't roll, tossing them in a very unusual manner that is hoping to cheat the casino, really. So don't cheat. It is illegal. Do not even attempt doing that because they will punish you to the full extent of the law. You are paying for the opportunity to shoot the dice. In other words, you have to place a pass line bet, you have to place a don't pass bet, one or the other. So that's you paying for the opportunity to shoot the dice. So you should have that right, ethically and morally, to be able to set the dice however you want, to throw the dice however you want, as long as the dice toss that you use is not an illegal dice toss, and as long as you toss the dice that's in accordance to the rules that the casino sets up. So just remember, you have that right. You're paying for that right. Just make sure you follow the rules and you do everything that's expected. Lastly, remember, the casino enforces all these rules in order to ensure a fair and random game for the craps player. And it's your responsibility to do everything you possibly can to keep that game fair, meaning that you're not cheating, you're not doing illegal things. Just make sure that what you do is legal, it's fair, and it helps the casino keep the game moving. As I record videos in this series, I'm going to be putting them in the playlist on that side of the screen right there. So make sure you come back to this video regularly. Check out that playlist on the right side there, and that's going to go through all the different things. So I'm going to go through the 10 different steps of that I've come up with for practicing and learning your dice influence procedures. It's going to go through different practice sessions. It's going to go through different tools and things that you can make to become a better shooter. It's going to go through my entire journey. Hey, my name is Joe, and this is my Craps Master dice shooting journey. I really want to make it yours too. Please make sure you like, share, and comment in the future.